Rex Tillerson to be fired. Senator Tom Cotton could become CIA director. By Gary Mayer for USA Politics Today. We've heard rumors for weeks that Secretary of State Rex Tillerson was on shaky grounds with President Trump and would soon leave his post. It looks like that may happen before the end of the year, according to a report from the New York Times. Via reporters Peter Baker and Maggie Haberman, Washington, the White House has developed a plan to force out Secretary of State Rex W. Tillerson, whose relationship with President Trump has been strained, and replace him with Mike Pompeo, the CIA director, within the next several weeks, senior administration officials said on Thursday. More from the bombshell report. Mr. Pompeo would be replaced at the CIA by Senator Tom Cotton, a Republican from Arkansas, who has been a key ally of the president on national security matters, according to the White House plan. Mr. Cotton has signaled that he would accept the job if offered, said the officials, who insisted on anonymity to discuss sensitive deliberations before decisions are announced. The report is careful to state that President Trump has not fully approved of the plan, but even so, it's more than likely that Tillerson will soon be out of the State Department. There's been talk for months that Tillerson was on the outs with the White House. There were even reports that Tillerson actually considered resigning over the summer after he was undercut by Trump. Tillerson reportedly referred to Trump as a moron during one meeting and had to be coaxed back to his position by Vice President Pence.
Indeed, today the State Department officials denying a split between the president and his top diplomat over North Korea, after the president's tweets this weekend undercut the Secretary of State's outreach to North Korea just a day earlier. And according to exclusive reporting by NBC News today, this latest incident caps months of friction between the president and Tillerson that almost led to the nation's top diplomat resigning in July. This morning, more signs the troubled relationship between President Trump and his Secretary of State is reaching a boiling point. A growing chorus of headlines calling on Rex Tillerson to quit after the president attacked his new outreach to North Korea, tweeting Sunday, "Save your energy, Rex. We'll do what has to be done." And, "I told Rex Tillerson, our wonderful Secretary of State, that he is wasting his time trying to negotiate with Little Rocket Man." That diplomatic bombshell from the president coming just 7 hours after Tillerson's arrival home from Beijing, where he had revealed that the U.S. has a back channel to North Korea, telling reporters in China, "We can talk to them. We do talk to them directly through our own channels." Tillerson's emphasis on diplomacy pleasing his hosts in China, but not the boss back home. In fact, multiple White House officials tell NBC News Tillerson was already on the outs with the president for refusing to tear up the Iran nuclear deal and pointedly disagreeing with Mr. Trump's controversial comments about the deadly racial unrest in Charlottesville.
I think there's blame on both sides.
The president speaks for himself.
For his part, Tillerson was frustrated when the president sided with Saudi Arabia against a key U.S. military ally, Qatar. Officials tell NBC News the final blow for the Secretary of State, a former leader of the Boy Scouts, almost came back in July, when the president gave a widely criticized political speech to the Scouts.
We go to Wisconsin, and we had tremendous crowds.
Current and former officials tell NBC News' Carol Lee, Tillerson tried to quit, but was talked out of it by allies, including Defense Secretary James Mattis, incoming Chief of Staff John Kelly, and even Vice President Mike Pence, who had to give Tillerson what's described as a pep talk, telling him to get on board with the president. Defense Secretary Mattis is trying to play down the rift between Tillerson and the president over North Korea, and a top Tillerson aide denies the secretary tried to quit or was offended by the president's speech to the Boy Scouts. As for how long he will stay in the cabinet, a top aide to Tillerson says for as long as the president wants him to serve. But UN Ambassador Nikki Haley is widely viewed as auditioning to replace him.
Oh, well, via Vox, the White House is considering a major shakeup of President Donald Trump's national security team in the upcoming weeks. According to a report by the New York Times, Peter Baker and Maggie Haberman, administration officials are floating a plan in which Trump would push out Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and replace him with Mike Pompeo, who is currently serving as CIA director. Then he would fill the CIA job with Senator Tom Cotton. Now, this may not have been finalized just yet. Baker and Haberman write that it is not immediately clear whether Trump has given final approval to the plan, but that Chief of Staff John Kelly has drawn it up and widely circulated it. The timeline for implementing it, they write, would be around the end of the year or shortly afterwards. Observers across the political and foreign policy spectrum tend to view Tillerson as a failure at the State Department. The former ExxonMobil CEO has been widely criticized as a bizarrely disconnected manager who has failed to effectively govern the department. Perhaps more damaging for his internal prospects, though, was a report in October that Tillerson called Trump a moron. At one point in the summer, a report Tillerson has conspicuously never denied. Pompeo, by contrast, is viewed as a trustworthy and effective loyalist by Trump and his team. Axios' Mike Allen and Jonathan Swan reported last month that Pompeo's stock was rising in the White House and that he was a leading contender to replace Tillerson. Senator Cotton, meanwhile, is a staunch conservative and ally to the president, best known for hawkishness on both foreign policy and immigration issues. He's a 40-year-old Army veteran who was first elected to the Senate in 2014 and has been viewed as a rising star in the GOP. I agree with that. If Cotton is nominated and confirmed to a Trump administration post, a temporary replacement for him in the Senate would be appointed by Arkansas's Republican Governor Asa Hutchinson before a likely special election to fill the rest of his term later in 2018. The report of Tillerson leaving should be taken seriously. Haberman and Baker are two of the most informed reporters covering President Trump. They have access to the White House most journalists lack. More than likely, we'll have a new Secretary of State very soon. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.